Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with the overall market. Today is Sunday, January 12th. So here we are looking at SPY on the weekly chart. As you can see, last week's candle closed below December's low, increasing our probabilities to 50% that we could end 2025 as a red year. Statistics say if you have a weekly close in January below December's low, probabilities of that decrease or increase to 50%. What else is going on here? You could see by all means, we have a lower low, lower high, lower low on the weekly chart, showing that we are flipping bearish on the SPY weekly. Head on over to the daily chart. And what you see here is that we still have a little bit of election gap remaining open. Let me pull this chart up a little bit, make it easier to see. Hide VWAP there. All right, we still have a little bit of the election gap remaining open. We did reject it on Monday, December 23rd. We did reject it on Thursday, January 2nd, and we rejected a full closure on Friday. On the daily chart, you could see this head and shoulders pattern. You got the shoulder here, the head here, shoulder here. We could potentially see if we could potentially see pullback, possibly up to 585, which is this previous high over here, or to 590.67, which would align more with the trend line and this spot over here. And then if we get a lower high up there, I would be looking for a target of at least a closure of the election gap, and potentially down to 568.22. If you take a look at Apple, its previous all-time high right here at 236.94 was equal to Friday's close. Now, because we didn't actually close below that line on Friday, there's still a chance of a recovery for Apple come Monday. If we get a higher low above this line, I would see that as an opportunity to go long on Apple, targeting up here towards all-time highs, towards 253, etc. If we break down below this level and create a higher low below it, I could potentially see a break of a long trend starting back in August, turning bearish. On Microsoft, we've been in this range forever, this range of indecision of whether it was going to go higher or lower. As you can see here, we broke out to the upside, looked above, and we failed, creating a lower high. So the current target for Microsoft for me would be 406.19. We created another lower high right here. I'm seeing that it's, though the risk reward isn't there, it could be a short opportunity targeting 406.26, but the risk area is too big, so I wouldn't even be thinking about that. NVIDIA is still stuck in this area of indecision. We did, similar to Microsoft, broke out of this box of indecision, went above to all-time high, rejected going higher, targeting 130.25. Meta. On Meta, we have a higher high, higher low, in the process of making another higher high. Maybe it remains bullish for them that they're not fact checking anymore, but I don't know if that's a fact. Google. Google is, let's see here, they are literally just in a mess of indecision. We did look above, get a rejection, so we looked above and failed. I would suspect that we're probably heading to 188.80 because when you're in a box like this and you break out to one side, it fails, you usually go to the other end of that box. AMD remains to look terrible. When is it going to turn around? It's just crazy how bad it is. I would love to take some leap or greater than leap calls on AMD, but if I would first need to see some higher lows, higher highs. Maybe Geo. Looks like we're staying in this box once again of indecision. If we break down below that 218.08 mark and create a higher low below there, I would start thinking about closing this gap here. If we move up and break this trend line, I wouldn't even be looking at that at all. Let's get out of the NQ chart, look at the Qs. Switch to the daily chart. Similar to SPY, lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower lows. Let's take a look at the weekly chart though. On the weekly chart, we are still above this 503.38, which is a key area. It did reject right off of that on Friday. If we can stay above that, there is a chance, a potential chance to actually go higher on NQ. But if we get down below this and create a lower high below, I would be looking at closing the remainder of this tiny election gap that is left on QQQ. ZN, 10-year bonds doing something interesting. We are just dropping and dropping and dropping. And something I noticed is we are approaching upon a level that we were at just before the 2008 financial crisis happened, which would have been right around here. We had a double bottom on that line basically, and then took off for that 2008 financial crisis. This typically can move opposite direction of the market. SMCI is something I've been watching. I'm very interested in it. I made a post on Facebook about it, but basically what is going on with SMCI? You remember last year, January through March, a major breakout on SMCI, broke out over 300% because of AI related things, right? Then a short selling firm stepped in, pointed out that there were some irregularities on their balance sheet. At that time, the SEC stepped in and launched an investigation on the company. Well, as soon as that investigation launched, their financial auditor resigned. That raised more suspicion on the company, which started this massive sell-off. Well, it just so happens around that same time, they had the reports to NASDAQ due, which they failed to get in on time due to the resignation of their financial auditor, which caused the company to be threatened to become delisted. Since that time, you could see we have lost about 72% of SMCI's value. Now, the SEC investigation, to my understanding, has come back and they did not find anything fraudulent on their balance sheets. February 22nd is when NASDAQ, I believe it's February 22nd, February 20 something, when NASDAQ has given SMCI an extended deadline to get their reports into NASDAQ to avoid becoming delisted. There still has yet to be any kind of major recovery, but you can see some signs that a recovery could be starting. And we got that February 20-something catalyst. I just don't see it where they're not going to get these reports in and cause themselves to get delisted. And if that's the case and they weren't fraudulent, well, then that means everybody that did all this selling, blah, 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 and thought the company was doomed, well, perhaps they were all wrong. We've already seen this all the way up at 122.80. So it could be February it booms back up. It could be never, honestly. But I see a lot of reasons for this to blow up again. I personally, I won't call them leap calls because the contracts I bought on this actually expired in 2 years. And the reason I did it is because contracts that expire in 1 year were $1,000. If they expired in 2 years, I think they were like $300 or $400 more. So I got an extra year for $300 or $400. I'm like, okay, well, I will take it. So I got pretty much the furthest out possible expiration date with a strike or two out of the money, and took some call options on this. I think the probabilities are really freaking high that this thing recovers to some level much higher than what it is now. You can see these key levels right here before their major breakouts, which are right around 32.08, happens to be the exact price it's trading at right now. And we've actually potentially, though not technically, we did have a potential to break this trend. Not saying it's going to happen right now, but I think it'll happen eventually, and I have faith in that trade. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla just blew up and has almost completely retraced their most recent leg up. I see a chance to go higher if we create a lower high, like a big wide lower high above this 362.10. If we get down below that, there may be opportunity to retrace even more of this explosion on Tesla. There's a lot of big catalysts for Tesla right now, though. I mean, Elon Musk is about to be in the White House, yada, yada, yada. That's my update for now. We'll take a look and see what happens overnight.